Welcome back everybody to the Little Reef. And today's video I'm gonna finally do my breakdown on the tank. So story started originally with going down a budget reef tank option. So a lot of the equipment, well, all of the equipment in my tank was all cheap, bought on a budget, most of it from Amazon. I was put off by reefing for a long time because just how expensive it is, to be honest, and wasn't sure sort of what the possibilities were of being able to do it on a budget. So I thought I'd give it a go. Had this tank that was freshwater for quite a while and just wanted to change, so thought I was ready for the leap, give it a go. Lockdown kind of pushed my hand a little bit because I was bored, so it gave me something to do. So at the moment I'm about 5 to 6 months in, I think. Relatively successful, haven't really had any major issues other than one, which was from a beginner mistake, which was introducing ick into the tank. I've since resolved that problem, but other than that there's no major issues, just kind of the usual bit of algae to deal with and diatoms in the sand and things like that, but slowly learning as we're going along and getting to grips with things, and this is where we're at. So initially, as I say, all sort of started on a budget. When we first got the tank, it was the equipment that I'm going to show you in a minute. We had one of the Crew lights that I'm using at the moment, which was given to me as a sponsor from Crew directly to be able to show in the videos. And then since then, because I was happy with it, but for the size of the tank I wanted just a little bit more spread of the light, so I got another one because I was happy with the light and it was cheap, so I got another one. Really happy with the lights again for what they are, for the price of them. I know there's a lot better out there that you can get, but they are stupidly expensive in a comparison to these. So on the budget route for people that are trying to start a new tank and go down the reef sort of aspect, but not spend sort of £250 per power head or 200, 300, 400 quid per light, this is a good sort of budget route that you can start on. I know a lot of people that have had more experience in the reefing and sort of doing it for a long time, and to be fair, I'll probably slowly start to agree that as you get deeper into it, you will probably start to want to change the equipment out for better stuff, and their argument will always be that sort of you're having to buy it twice, so you're spending more money, which I agree with. But at the same time, if it's something that you're sort of not 100% how well you're going to do in it, and you don't really want to spend a fortune up front, or if you just want to achieve something sort of along the lines of what I've managed to on the price that I have, then it is possible. So it's obviously your decision on how you do it, but this video, as I say, is going to be based around why I've done what I've done and the equipment I use and my experiences and so on. So as I say, this is the tank where we're at the moment. It's a little bit cloudy at the minute because I've just done a water change and disturbed all the sand and stuff, so it's just settling back down at the moment, but that's the tank where we're at the minute. So I'm going to show you the equipment. I'll do a close-up in the tank and show you it working, and I'll show you the boxes of the equipment I've got as well. I will probably put the links in the description to each product, so anyone that finds the video interesting and is interested in the cheaper equipment that I've got for their first reef or just for a budget reef, then it'll be easy for you to find. But there we go. Okay, here's the basics. So this is what I started with. Near to nobody use hang-on back filters. Everyone always uses either canister filters or will run a sump with a reef tank. I can agree there are lots of benefits to a sump and makes the tank a lot cleaner, because most of your equipment you can hide in the sump as well, and overall does give you more water volume, so more room for mistakes and stuff like that. So there are lots of benefits to a sump. I haven't got one for two reasons. One, again, the budget aspect. I do plan on hopefully getting a bigger tank in the near future and upgrading. So that will potentially be a big next step forwards with some more research, but for me, for the size of the tank, it's 125 litre my tank, so it's not massive. But for the size of tank that I've got, the hang-on back filter I've found, to be honest, has been perfectly fine. Water is crystal clear, does a good job, and it's got some sort of handy little benefits from it. So we've got a hang-on back filter. Two of my bits of equipment are from All Pond Solutions, as I say, from Amazon. So you've got the 800 litre hang-on back filter. It has got a built-in UV light for a small volume of sterilisation, I suppose. It's got a floating surface skimmer, so not like a proper skimmer, but just to help keep sort of no film or any sort of leftover food or anything floating on the surface for too long. And then obviously the downwards pipe into the water to help keep it clean. The main reason I like the filter, which was what made me go for it, was it has like a basket type media inside, so rather than just sponges, because of the baskets, it then gives you your option to be able to put your rower foss in, and sort of carbon if you want to run carbon, bio balls which it comes with, and stuff like that. So the filter, to be honest, I've been really happy with for the size of the tank. I would recommend this. As I say, for the size of tank that I'm running, it says on the box it's rated for up to 190 litre tank. To be honest, I mean, if mine's 125 and it works as well as it is, it wouldn't surprise me if it could cope with a bit bigger than that, because typically, other than when I've just done a water change, the water is crystal clear with this filter. Did quite a lot of research with it, read quite a lot. There's your average kind of few that have faults, they're a little bit noisy or whatever, they get sent back, the issue gets resolved. Personally, mine is almost silent. I don't have any noise issues. The only thing that I can comment with this as a fault, that I think a lot of people in the reviews of this on Amazon all comment on the same thing, the UV bulb. So after a short period of time of the UV working, the bulb goes. I think it only lasted about 6 weeks at the most, if I'm honest. And as I say, in the reviews, quite a few people have the same comments. So if I'm gonna sort of criticise, the only downside that I found really with this filter is the fact that the UV side of it doesn't last too long. But outside of that, for sort of the purpose that I use it for the size of the tank and what it's designed for, it's really well performing. So that's the filter. Wave makers. So again, very basic budget. I know there's some really good ones I see a lot of people use. I think it's are they Ecotech, the MP40s maybe. Look brilliant, but again, in all honesty, from what I've seen, even second hand they sell for like 150, 200 quid. I think they're like 250 brand new. I could be a little bit wrong, but I know they're not cheap. They're a lot of money. These were £13. So literally nothing, pennies. Now obviously some big pros and cons between something like this and what you get from the more premium ones. Something like this, what I use, they're 2,500 litre an hour. I've got two of them in a 125 litre tank. Flow is good. They're maybe a bit aggressive, but I think I've managed to find good positions for them where there's no dead spots, but I'm not sort of destroying any of my corals, so I've been happy with these. As I say, I mean, these are just suction cups onto the glass, and that is literally about it. There's nothing amazing about them. They're always on. There's no flow, no sort of wave design or anything. They're just on, constant flow, 2,500 litres an hour, but they are effective. They work. They give good flow in the tank, and they do their job. They are fully in the tank. They're not magnetic outside like the more premium, but again, they perform well for a budget reef. Right, then we've got my heater. Just went Eheim, relatively sort of decent basic heater, 100 watt, so good for up to 150 litre tank. Potentially could have gone a little bit bigger on the heater. I mean, my temperature is consistent at 26.6 to 26.7 degrees, and it works well, which is exactly what I want from it. But it is glass. It's not one of the metal designs or ceramic or whatever they are. I know there's some more premium ones that you can get, but again, for now, it does the job. Heater, if I'm honest, although it's a half decent heater and it works and it's perfectly fine, with regards to the sort of the safety and stability of the tank, the heater is my primary concern. As I say, it's given me no reason to be concerned, but I've heard a lot of horror stories of like heaters sticking on and things like that, and then boiling the tank and crashing and everything dying within the space of a few hours if you haven't noticed it, which in theory, touch wood, it doesn't, but it could happen at any point overnight, for example, and crash my tank and I find it in the morning. I don't run any sort of safety cut-offs or anything, which I think is potentially one of my next sort of pieces of equipment when I look to increase and improve. So other than that, I mean, as I say, it works perfectly fine. Good heater, does the job. But it's just a basic heater. So as I say, when you go down the sort of improving your equipment and increasing what it's capable of doing, that's the point where I would recommend that you get your sort of safety cut-offs and extra things that regulate it just to be safe. And then the last thing, which was out of some of my initial purchases, sorry, it's not, I'm lying. There was one other thing that I don't have anymore because it was just a bag, but was my 2 bags of sand. So on Amazon, again, I'll put the link in the description, but on Amazon I used, I think it was called Roman gravel. It's, in all honesty, the substrate I find it looks really nice, it's really white, but it's probably a bit finer than I would have hoped for. I think, again, when it comes to my new tank, I'm going to go for a coarser substrate because it's a bit too fine. Trying to get the power heads in the right position to not create mans of sound getting blown around constantly was a bit of a challenge. We got there eventually, but yeah, that's the only other thing that's not here, is the sand, but I will link that in the description. But other than that, was this. So we had my filter, my 2 power heads, your heater, your sand, and then test kits. So again, not great test kits, very, very basic. I know a lot of people frown against these and will sort of not use them, recommend against them. My point of getting these were the full test kit. So when you're cycling your tank, your initial nitrate cycle is obviously your ammonia, your nitrite, and then your nitrate, your 3 most important to be testing during your cycle period. This test, the master test kit, comes with those 3. Does also have high range pH as well, and I know the test is not the most accurate, they're not amazing, but again, my idea behind it was having an idea of what sort of parameters I'm at with these test kits, albeit not as accurate as possible. I'm still more in the sort of know of where my tank is up to, and I know what's going on better than what I do with no test kits at all. There are lots of others out there. You get Red Sea test kits. I think there's Salitha, I think they're called. There's their test kits as well, and a lot of people will say they are both a hell of a lot better, which I don't necessarily disagree with. I will be upgrading, and I've got some new tests that I need to get soon, so I will be moving over to those, but they are a lot more expensive. So this test kit on Amazon was £25, I think, and that was all of them in there that I needed to be able to just monitor my cycle. It did the job okay. As I say, once you've got to the stage sort of months down the line where I am now, the more sort of common thing that you're going to be monitoring is your nitrate, and the nitrate test in this is a pain in the arse, and it's not great, if I'm honest, and again, probably not the most accurate. But other than that, you're then going to be testing your alkalinity and your calcium and things like that, and phosphates. They're tests that don't come in this kit, which I then need to buy, so they're the ones I'll be getting soon. But as I say, for your basic cycle and your initial sort of start up, to give you an idea of where you're at, and again to keep it in a budget and at a reasonable price, the API Master Test Kit is what I went with, and it worked fine. I haven't, as I said, had any major issues, and I've used these regularly, so that's that. So as I say, that's the equipment that we used, minus the sand. That was it. So I already had the tank. And as I said, this is how I created my reef on a budget. There's one other thing as well that you're going to need to be able to successfully create a reef, which is your rock. So I'm going to show you the tank again, tell you where I got that from, and I'll give you a full breakdown. So prices wise, filter, that was £39.99. Wave makers, as I say, I think they were £13 each, so it's 26 quid. Test kit was £25, and the heater was, I believe, 30 quid. It was 29.99, which was quite expensive, I thought, for what it was, to be honest. But that was that. Rocks. So I'll show you my rocks. You've seen them before in my previous videos, but the rocks I used, again from Amazon, is Carib Sea Life Rock. So it's not live rock, it is technically dead rock. They claim that it's basically painted with a friendly bacteria which activates when it goes into the water, helps with seeding the tank to start the cycle. If I'm honest, I don't think it did anything. I did add a starter bacteria as well, which was about £13, but to put that in, and I would say for my nitrate to have started showing and then started coming back down to the point where a novice reefer would say your cycle is complete, which it's not, because it continues for months of mini bacteria blooms and so on. Every time you add more to it, your bioload increases and so on. But maybe the first stages of your cycle being complete, I think took me 6 to 7 weeks or so. The rocks and what they claim did nothing, I don't think, because I've seen a lot of people that have said they used just a white completely dead rock and it's took the same time, so I can't say it did much more. But in my opinion, I think it looks better. The reason I went for the Life Rock from Carib Sea is, although it is, I think the paint on it, it's not necessarily natural, it does have a purple look to it, and more like what live rock looked like. And for me personally, I much prefer that look. I'm not a big fan of the white rock, although I have added a piece of white rock to my tank since. I've only got one bit, the rest is all the Carib Sea. So that was my preference. I bought it was a £20 box, which I think is around 9 or 10 kilos. That was probably the most expensive thing that I bought initially for the tank. That was just under 100 quid for the rock. So yeah, I mean, when you're buying your rock, that's one thing that you've got to be prepared for. Like I said, that's possibly why a lot of people go for the white dead rock, because it is about half the price. Live rock is typically your most expensive. Carib Sea I found to be a little bit cheaper than live rock, but I didn't want to risk introducing pests and things into my tank as such a newbie and not really knowing how to deal with them, so I preferred the idea of dry rock with the Carib Sea. So as I say, yeah, 40 quid, 26 for the two, 25 for that, and 30 quid for the heater. So really not a massive amount in equipment. As I say, £100 for my rock, and I think my sand was about 15 to 17 pounds a bag. I bought two, so again just over 30 quid in sand. That was literally it as far as the tank being sort of built and what it was. As I say, I already had the tank, which I'll show you now. There it is. Oh, and the lights, sorry. So yeah, the lights, if I remember rightly, don't quote me on this because I need to double check my prices now, but I'm pretty sure those lights are only 40 quid each. I think they're £39.99 for those lights. They might be a little bit more actually. They could be £59.99, but either way, I think they're £59.99, but 60 quid for a LED light. It's got white and blue control on it, and it's got, so it does a 24/7 like cycle on it if you want to, with the digital timer, where it will replicate sort of the moon going up and down, going into dark, and then it will eventually turn off. Or you can control it with the original controller it comes with, which is just the white setting for daytime, which is mixed with like UV and so on, and then blue for night, and turn it off. But the lights were, like I say, 60 quid each, and for the performance, like I say, I've got hammer corals and torch corals in there that are growing happily, and yeah, those lights are performing really well for what I've got, so that's where we're at with that. But yeah, there's the tank. So there's my filter. Take the lid off. So it's good flow running across the media basket at the top, goes down through the basket, through your row of frost, through your bio balls, and then there's filter floss. Sorry, there's filter floss on the very top, and then there's a sponge on the bottom, and then it pushes back up through, and then the waterfall effect down the front. Reasonable flow. Surface skimmer bobbing away. 2 power heads and my heater. 2 lights latched onto the back. in the tank. As I say, flow wise is reasonable. I did do a bit of a heavy feed with Reef last night, so the corals are a bit shriveled and taking a dump at the moment. There's also some new additions to the tank as well. Little extra little thing in this video. So we bought some new purchases as well. We've got a chromis that you can see swimming around in the front. There is a Bengai cardinal, which is there, and then a couple of corals. So we got, I wanted the toxic green but they didn't have one, so I bought just a normal green candy cane, just a single head. It was only 12 quid, that was cheap, so I grabbed that. This was my main purchase that I was really happy about. I'm going to do a better video on this. This is just a quick peek at it, but my raster torch. I'll put my filter on and stuff in a separate video and I'll show you the colours properly and that, but I've got a raster torch as well, which I'm really happy with. And then we scooped the Kenya tree. That's cheap as well. I think I paid 50 quid for that, which was massive, so I was happy with that. And there's my rock. So I got about 7 rocks of my Carib Sea Life rock. Decent shapes, decent sizes, to be honest. Probably could have done with a little bit more, but again, sticking with the budget theme, that's just something that you can sort of work to your own pace to. That's my biggest advice to anyone. You're starting out on a new reef. If you want to go down the budget route, then by all means, it's doable. It is achievable. I've done it. As I say, you may find as you go along that some equipment you may want to sort of improve. And you just work within your own budget, work within your own time. It's a hobby that you have to learn patience with, and purchasing bits as you go along can just be added to that part of patience. So don't necessarily be put off by price. It can be achieved. I think realistically, obviously I've added a lot more money's worth into the tank since my initial setup costs. Coral and fish wise, I've probably got another 600 quid in it since then, so it's not cheap, but I mean the initial setup and getting going is definitely doable on a budget. And like I say, you just work to your own pace. So you've got a little bit of spare money here or there, you buy a new coral, you buy a new fish, and you slowly add to it, and eventually it will get to the point where you will achieve something you'll be happy with. You'll get the bug, you'll always want to buy more, you'll always want to add more. It's very addictive, but it's very rewarding, I find. I love my tank, I love watching it, and the fish, they've all got their own little personalities and sort of ways of behaving and things, so it's very interesting to watch, and I think it's pretty beautiful. Camera never does it justice. On my phone anyway. I know it's possible to achieve much clearer than what I can, unfortunately, but messing around with all filters and stuff is just a pain in the arse. So this is it. As I say, that is the Little Reef on a budget and how I achieved it, the equipment I used and what I have. So I hope anyone thinking of doing it finds it helpful. If anyone has got questions on anything I've missed, or a little bit more information you want on some of the equipment or anything like that, then please comment. I do try and get back to everyone in the comments, so it might take me a few days because I miss it if you've commented, but I will get back to everybody. Really appreciate everyone that's subscribing, and if you can, if you know there's people that are going to be interested, please share the video. The more people it gets out to, the more views I'm getting, the more motivation that helps me to keep going and making the videos. So really appreciate everyone liking, commenting and subscribing, and I will see you in the next one.